The Prime Minister today said he was suspending campaigning this morning out of respect for the death of the Pope. And that's not true. It's another Labor untruth. What you instead saw today was highly political campaigning, Labor very calculatingly showing it is a friend of Christians and turning the Pope into a saint of the left, particularly the saint of global warming. Anthony Albanese did it yesterday and again this morning, but he wasn't campaigning, was he?
And he asked the world to hear the cry of the earth, our common home. He invited world leaders to join him and, to quote him, emerge from the dark night of wars and environmental devastation in order to turn our common future into the dawn of a new and radiant day. He was tireless in advocating for the powerless, campaigning against poverty, for the rights of working people, and for protecting our natural environment.
And Albanese even suggested that he himself was a believer.
Look, I try not to talk about my faith in public. At times like this, I think what people do is they draw on who they are, and certainly my Catholicism is just a part of me.
Now, the idea of pausing an election in Australia for the death of a pope just a week and a half before this country votes on its future is actually absurd. It's over the top. Now, I do like Labor finally paying Catholicism some respect, but this is just too transparent. In fact, it is a brilliant piece of campaigning from a Prime Minister who actually wouldn't say yes or no when his biographer asked if he did believe in God. Indeed, Albanese is so not a believer, so not religious, that when he was sworn in as Prime Minister, he refused to swear it on a Bible and made an affirmation instead.
I, Anthony Norman Albanese, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will well and truly serve the Commonwealth of Australia, her land and her people in the office of Prime Minister.
Albanese has also mocked the Catholic Tony Abbott as the mad monk, and when Cardinal George Pell died, the country's highest-ranked Catholic, it wasn't Albanese at his funeral, standing by the Catholic Church and its persecuted servant, a cardinal falsely convicted. No, it was Peter Dutton, the opposition leader, who did that, who had that courage, who was there. Now, if you think I'm being too cynical about Albanese's reaction to the Pope's death, let me give you some history to show how deliberate all this worshipping of Francis by Labor really is. 6 years ago, Labor lost an election to the very Christian Scott Morrison and his coalition. It commissioned a post-mortem on that shock defeat, a post-mortem by two Labor Party elders, Craig Emerson and Jay Weatherill. They said in their report that Labor had offended too many Christians with their attacks, their policies, and they warned that in contrast to Morrison, Labor as a whole did not project an image that was appealing to devout Christians. The party would be wise to reconnect with people of faith on social justice issues and emphasise its historic links with mainstream churches. And Labor has since acted on that advice, and how? In the last election campaign 3 years ago, Catholic frontbenchers like Christina Keneally and Tanya Plibersek promoted Labor, and especially the socialist left Anthony Albanese, as actually influenced not by Marx, but by Jesus and Pope Francis.
The timeless lessons of Christ continue to inform progressive politics. Economic justice is what we'll be fighting for the next 8 weeks. That's what Christ taught his disciples. It's what Pope Francis teaches us today. It's what motivates me, and I know it's what motivates our leader, Anthony Albanese.
You'll also have noticed how often Albanese now jokes that he was raised in 3 faiths, the Catholic Church, the Sydney Rabbitohs and the Labor Party. Although the way he puts it, it's like he's describing tribes, not faiths. But at Easter last weekend, Albanese did attend Mass with a cameraman in tow.
I was an altar boy here.
And with the Pope's death, Albanese has stepped it up even more, almost speaking as a believer himself, even a believer in the resurrection.
For Christ has triumphed over death. May God welcome Pope Francis to eternal life.
Now, I am not saying that Albanese hasn't late in life found God again. I can't see into his heart. But I can say that all this is entirely consistent with a very deliberate Labor campaign to make it and Albanese now seem friendly to Christians. And that job, by the way, has been made easier by Pope Francis himself, who's been a very political pope. Now, I have absolutely no doubt that Francis was a sincere man, was a good man. Unlike Albanese, he stood by George Pell, had faith in Pell's manifest innocence, stood by Pell even though Pell was a conservative and the Pope a man of the left, who drove Pell mad with his global warming catastrophism. And it is that global warming preaching that turned the Pope into a hero of the left. It wasn't his preaching on the Bible at all, but his politicking on global warming, which Pell complained to me was not based on any sound understanding of the science or of the economics. And the pity is, of course, that the global warming policies the Pope pushed most hurt the poor that Francis truly cared about. Yet Francis did push that warming faith very hard, even back climate hysterics such as Greta Thunberg.
God bless you. Continue to walk, eh? Continue, eh?
And the Vatican yesterday was even claiming that the Pope's preaching on global warming, especially through his encyclical Laudato Si', on just that, all on global warming, is what encouraged so many world leaders, had been encouraged to make a consensus to cut emissions, to fight global warming in the Paris Agreement. And to the end, the Pope was convinced of a falsehood that global warming was destroying the world. In fact, had done so already.
How worried are you about climate change?
Lamentablemente, hemos llegado a un punto donde
Unfortunately, we have gotten to a point of no return. It's sad, but that's what it is.
el recalentamiento
Global warming is a serious
es un
problem.
problema grave. El cambio climático en este momento
Climate change at this moment is a road to death.
Now, if the Pope is today the saint and inspiration of the Labour Party and of Anthony Albanese, it is not because of what he said of his religion or of abortion. It is because of what he said of global warming, the one religion to which Labour can truly give its heart and its faith.